Hello friends, welcome to another video. I'm your humble narrator and host, the Tony Figueroa, artist, writer, self-publisher. I've done a little teaching, Navy veteran, proud father and husband. And what I wanted to talk today about is the evolution of an image, beginning with the first version of it I did about 3 years ago and then working my way up to something I just did this morning, in the hopes of determining whether we learned something or we've just sort of been stagnating. And before we get into that too far, let's say hello to our studio audience here. I'm going to pan over, and our first one is a Mondasian Cybermen from the first run of Doctor Who with William Hartnell. Moving right along, we have classic Batman. I mean, terrific. Jack Kirby's OMAC, One Man Army Corps. Probably my favorite Jack Kirby creation, but it's so hard to choose a favorite when he did so many great things. Often imitated, he'll never be duplicated. Woody the Wooden Mannequin, and last but never least, the Metaludin Mutant, taking it all in. Okay, so let's go back to the drawing. When I was in high school, like probably most kids that are comic book fans or aspiring artists, my friends and I would draw our own comics, and I came up with a little group called the Free Fall Warriors, and one of them was called Sky Striker, and this is kind of sort of what he looked like, if memory serves. And I'm going to pull back a little bit and show you what I was thinking at the time that I drew this about 3 years ago. I was looking at a lot of 90s comics, and if you were reading comics in the 90s, or you remember the 90s, fondly or otherwise, a lot of those artists were criticized for hyper-exaggeration. The storytelling was not there, and maybe those are valid criticisms, maybe they aren't. But the one thing I do admire about them, and perhaps it's a function of age as well, is youthful enthusiasm. They just were young guys doing what they've dreamt of doing, and they gave it their all. I can't knock them for that, certainly. And I guess I was just looking at a lot of 90s comics when I did this one. I think it shows. The proportions are not quite there, but there you have it. I had fun doing it. And isn't that what counts? Let's go to version number 2. In version number 2, same character, slightly modified costume. I'm not really sure what I was thinking when I did this one in particular. Got that Kirby crackle just like in the first version. I don't know. I guess it's a little bit better anatomically speaking, and proportions might be a little bit better. But in my mind, I wanted to take another crack at it. I just felt maybe it was a little too polite. I don't really know. So I figured, hey, let's take another shot at it. And that yields version number 3. And I do like the face and the hair on this one. Overall, I do like it. I think the pose is good. The anatomy seems to show some improvement, certainly. But still a little polite for my tastes, I think. Just not... I'm looking for something. I don't think I found it with this one. But, I tried my best. And at the end of the day, what more can you ask of someone? So there you have it. Sky Striker, done in a little bit more of an updated version. I studied quite a bit. I'm always working on my anatomy, working on my figure drawing. I think there's been some improvement at the risk of sounding immodest. And we're on to version number 4. And with the version number 4, I think this is the politest version. And what I mean by polite is, the comic book medium, the beautiful comic book medium, is wide enough or broad enough for any style to work, from the most cartoony or abstract to the most photorealistic and heavily referenced. And I love art of all sorts. I love Alex Ross. I love Bruce Timm. I love Jack Kirby. I love Michael Lark, a lot of different artists. And all those artists represent a very wide range of styles. But I think when you're doing a superhero, I don't know if realism is the best approach for superheroes, only because when you start to make it realistic, you point out how absurd it really is. So there is that. But I thought I would work on this. I'd used a reference from Loomis. I didn't copy any of the drawings, but his measuring system. You can probably see some of the lines there I used for measuring. I don't think it's a bad drawing. I think it's a very polite, sort of restrained drawing, and I just wanted to try it one more time. So maybe the fifth time will be the charm. And this is the fifth version of this. I changed the pose a little bit, more the classic standing there with his muscles tight type of pose. I didn't do any overlap as I'd done in a previous version where I had one leg overlapping the other. But you know what? I said to myself, I don't want to be polite. I just want to draw something that you can only find in a comic book and maybe at the outer edges of bodybuilding. But no, seriously, you know, this is not a masterpiece, certainly by any stretch of the imagination. There are things in it that could be improved. As an artist, I'm always looking at my work, seeing what needs improvement in it. But as far as exaggeration goes, I think this is pretty exaggerated. I had a lot of fun doing it. It's great working in this style. It kind of frees you up a little bit, I think. If I were to do this, I would do it a little bit differently. But at the time you're doing it, you're giving it your best. And, you know, hindsight being 20/20 vision. The next time I tackle something like this, I'll just incorporate what I learned from this piece into the next one. So there you have it. 5 views of the same drawing. I hope you found this enjoyable. I certainly did. I look forward to speaking with you guys again in the not too distant future. So until then, bye-bye.